Good evening, everyone. Again, we haven't put a topic out. I advertised group this week by putting a few pictures up of Dave and I on a walk, and it's had more responses than any posts we normally put up.
People love walks.
Well, I sometimes get beautiful photos from a company called Unsplash or Upsplash, like inspirational photos that have been taken by a professional, and they don't get any attention really. And I was looking for one with my bump, but Dave only took two. One of them I'm yawning, and that was the other one. So that's the one that went up.
Well, in all fairness, it was going dark when you asked me to take the photographs, and it was a bit crap, so I didn't bother taking any other one.
Yeah, but it took you 5-10 minutes to take two terrible photos.
Most of them were of the moon.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Emma!
Oh, am I not on mute?
No, but that was an awesome voice you just did.
Oh no, that's my daughter. Say hi. Hello. I was honestly, because I'm on my phone rather than on my computer, and I was like, how do I find chat to say hi? And I was scrambling around. So I will go on mute now, but hello, lovely to see you.
Nice to see. Nice to meet.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, love. Just so you know, we haven't really got a topic for tonight. It's a free for all. It's questions, answers, conversation, insights, things that people have seen that have really helped them. Because it's really good when people share that kind of stuff. It's like when people share, I've seen this and it's really helped me. It kind of, you don't know who's listening. You don't know how it touches people. So it's good to share those kind of things. So it's an open night tonight.
I think also when people say, I haven't seen anything around this area, or there's something they've been struggling with. So often there is someone else on the call that needed to hear that as well. So it could be anything. It doesn't have to be an insight or
anything. This is just open conversation. How do the principles fit into this? How do the principles fit into that? Yeah.
Dave.
Hello.
When you were like before principles, BP, and you are not in a very good place at all.
Yeah.
Did you have a very strong negative narrative?
Yes.
I would guess it would have been quite an angry, very negative narrative.
Yes.
And I guess you did too, Jenny, when you went, before you went to that when your sister got you the tickets to go to see that. And so when did you start to see? I've just been down a big old rabbit hole for a good week, and it's got very nasty. It's a very nasty rabbit, and it's been kind of hard to switch it off or let it run. And I thought, I was thinking, I bet Dave, I knew you were a very angry man before the principles, and well, how did you deal with that, or where? Huh?
What did I do?
Yeah. And I suppose sometimes I'm sure you still, I know you get angry, and but it's so I didn't want to start things off on a negative. I would rather see what I've seen, but it's been a pretty tough old week.
Perfect, love. Thank you, Lise, for starting us off. Thank you, love.
So
Can I just say
Yeah.
that yeah, I've also been going through a very rough few weeks. And my daughter actually said to me today, you know, Mom, it's okay to feel whatever you're feeling. And it was like a really big reminder that it's okay. You know, yes, I am completely down in the dumps and feeling a bit miserable, but it's not going to last forever. And I know it will pass. And that I'm going to learn something huge from all of this. But it's not a pleasant place to be. But just kind of that knowing that it will pass and that you're going to gain something from it. There's a little bit of like a reassurance, like a comfort, like, you know, it's coming.
Yeah.
Spare me 1 second. It's really beautiful what you just said there, love.
Jessie that said it's okay.
Yeah.
Just checking Paul Mackey's done his makeup so we can see his face. Thankfully he has. Lise, I remember doing a talk at Saltburn. We're at a conference, Jenny and I. And I was on the stage with a man very well known in the principles. And this lady asked a very similar question. What do you do when you feel like shit? And this man gave this really kind of long explanation about what he does. And what you do according to the principles. And then he finished his sentence. I said, do you mind if I say something? I said, because what you're talking about, I said, I still feel all those feelings. I still feel every single feeling I've ever felt throughout my life. The difference came when my relationship changed to the feelings.
Yeah.
Which is a lot like what Leanne's talking about right there. When my relationship changed to the reality that I encounter, when I gained more acceptance for my feelings, more acceptance for my reality, more acceptance for my experience. I gained more acceptance because I saw it was all the same thing. I know that no matter what, whatever experience we get to live in, it's all coming from the same place. It's all ultimately the same thing in disguise. And so when I realized it's all thought, life is an experience created by a force. And we give that force the name of thought in English. We give it the word thought. And when we give it a title, a label, we unwittingly create an idea that we know what it is. Okay, so for example, tree. What's a tree? Oh, I know what a tree is, do we? What is a tree? Well, a tree is a big woody plant. Okay, what's a plant? Well, a plant is an organism that uses chlorophyll to generate glucose so it can feed itself. It also takes in carbon dioxide and breathes out oxygen. Okay, but what is it? Oh, it's a living organism. Okay, well, what's a living organism? It's animates it, that's animated by life. Okay, what's life? Life is consciousness. Okay, life is consciousness. What is consciousness? Or life is spirit. Okay, what's spirit? Well, spirit is God. Okay, what's God? God is everything. What's everything? It's nothing. But at the same time, it's nothing and everything. The whole thing, we get so caught up in trying to identify stuff, and the moment we identify something, we create characters for it, and that includes all our feelings. You know, who said that there is such a thing as a bad feeling?
Mm.
Is there such a thing as a bad feeling? Really, genuinely, if you think about it, Lise, is there really such a thing as a bad feeling? There are feelings we don't like, yes. There are feelings we would sooner not experience, yes. But are they bad feelings? Are they wrong feelings? Given that they are nature feelings, nature created humanity. Does nature make mistakes? No. Nature doesn't make mistakes. Everything is perfect. But you see, we get these feelings and then we ruminate on them. We're trying to find their source. And if you look closely, you'll try and figure out the source being an external event. We will try and find the source of the feeling as an external event, whether it's politics, money,
I think also
relationships.
we kind of externalize the past and the future
Totally,
as separate things.
totally. The future, the past, time. We're always looking externally for, I need to figure it out why.
Mm.
Okay, so we go on this mad hunt for why. Why do I feel like I feel?
Yeah.
Well, it's really simple. We feel like we feel because consciousness is thinking like it's thinking. Now, we may or may not be aware of that thought. Thought is not something that is on a single level. You know, when you drive, you don't jump in the car and drive consciously thinking about every single thing you have to do. Turn the steering wheel, change gear, indicator. You just get in the car. You can be changing the channel on the radio. You can be talking to your mate and you get from A to B and you've driven the car. But you couldn't drive the car without thought. It's thought still driving the car, and it's thought having the conversation. Without thought, you couldn't have the conversation. Without thought, you couldn't drive the car. Thought exists on many different levels. So a lot of the time, what we're really feeling is a belief we carry around.
Mm. Yes.
Beliefs aren't conscious thoughts. Beliefs are a programming on the, if you want to call it subconscious, the invisible.
Yeah.
Okay. And many times when people gain insight, have insights that free them, what they're doing is they're seeing an aspect of their ego. The ego being simply a ball of thoughts, a belief system. That's what the ego is. So many people start to find relief. And if you look closely, that's what you're trying to find. You're trying to find, why do I feel like I feel?
Mm.
But like I say, we always look outside, trying to find something to blame the feeling on, because that feeling has come from that over there, or that feeling has come from that over there. It hasn't. It's come from within us.
Yeah, but like the thoughts have been so nasty. I mean, why, you know, I know thought that sometimes tries to protect us by saying, don't put your hand on the stove, but it's just been really hard to try and distance myself from those thoughts.
I have all kinds of mad thoughts.
Yeah, I know you do. That's why I knew.
I put my hands up and I tell everybody.
I know.
It's like I have illegal thoughts, immoral thoughts, violent thoughts.
Your thoughts last week allowed you to split a lot of wood.
I split a lot of wood very quickly last week.
Wow. Yeah.
People in power. And it's like, I have all those thoughts. I used to be afraid of my thoughts.
Yes. And I have been very afraid of them this week. Very afraid.
May I ask you why?
Because they've been very scary and they've said things like, you're mentally unwell, you're mental, you are. You'll never be well, you're not worthy of healing. That's why you'll never get well. Hurtful.
So have those thoughts been saying that stuff to you, or have you been saying that stuff to you?
Well, it's felt like that my thoughts have been saying that to me. Probably a bit too much information, sorry.
Oh, not at all, not at all.
But, you know.
We're saying it to ourselves, love.
But why would I say that to myself?
Because somewhere you hold beliefs.
And I know, and I really want to, I really want to let go of those hardwired old stories. That's right.
Yeah, we do.
And they are being very resistant, and they kind of don't want to be let go of. And
of course they don't. Of course they don't want to be let go of. You see, the moment you try not to think them, you think them. It's like the old saying, don't think of a polar bear.
Yeah.
And so this is what people do. This is literally what people do. And I spent years in the psychiatric system doing this, trying to find the root cause of all my problems. Now, I could list a list of problems that I've experienced today. Okay, just today, I could take not enough time. Rusty was up at 4:30 this morning being sick till 6 o'clock. Then he wanted his breakfast at 7:15. I was just going back to sleep. You know, then I get up and sort my stuff out, and then people are late. You know, and I could look at all these things and go, oh, well, that's the root cause of all my problems. Oh, no, that one there, that's the root cause of my problems. Or is it that, or is it this? I mean, when we get to our age, Lisa, it's like, there's a lot to blame.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
But.
Yeah, and I know, you know, I've seen some wonderful things through this horrible bit, and yeah, and you know, we do get to, well, you know, 60, and you're lucky if you've not had, if you've sailed through life.
I don't know anybody who.
My mum has sailed through life.
But she'll have had her own ups and downs.
Yeah, not many though. She says.
Well, I remember speaking to Dave's dad about, my dad experiences quite a lot of anxiety, or he has in his life, and your dad didn't really understand. So he asked me to explain a little bit more about what did it mean. So I talked about some of the things that had created anxiety in his mind, and it's interesting because John was like, "Oh, I've experienced that. I've had that loads of times in my life. I never would have called it anxiety."
Wow.
And it was really interesting. And I went to a talk about for people who are socially anxious. It was interesting because there's about 25 people, and the first thing that the host got them to do was introduce themselves. And I was thinking, wow, socially anxious people, to then get them to speak in public. But everyone went round, and one of the last people was a lady who actually was a therapist and worked with people who struggled a lot with social anxiety. So she'd come to the event to see if she could learn something about it. And she said, I've sat here thinking I've come to learn something to help people I'm working with. And she said, but listening to everyone's story, said, I totally relate. I totally feel like all of those different people's stories resonate with me and I've experienced it. I just never thought it was a problem. And I remember sitting there thinking, wow, it's not the thoughts that we have. It's not the content. It's not the quality. It's what we think it means. It's how much energy we give it. It's what we buy into. And like I was saying to Dave, I had a bit of a shift the other day when I realized early on in the pregnancy, I had a couple of bleeds. So I think I sort of went, oh, I'm not going to get too invested in this just in case. And I was quite down, wasn't I? And I felt sick. And then I got really bad sort of different pains and I didn't know what it meant, and probably all new first time pregnancy stuff. And then a few months ago, I thought, well, I think I'm only going to do this once. I want to enjoy it. And all the same thoughts would come up and worrying, will she be okay? Is there going to be something wrong with her? And all of that kind of stuff and middle of the night thinking still happens. But it's like the shift in my relationship to it. And I've been reading the hypnobirthing book because my sister teaches hypnobirthing and she's going to be and so much of it is just the principles. It's saying that there is an innate ability and capacity within all of us to know how to live, but we get caught in the content of our mind. And all she's trying to do for preparing you for birth is to get your mind out of the way and let your body take over. Let instinct take over. And I was talking to my sister, she's had 3 births and she used hypnobirthing. And she said, especially for the second 2, she had all the same fears, all the same kind of thoughts come up, but the relationship changed. And I think we're always looking to get rid of beliefs or change our thinking or not have certain type of thinking. And we think that's what the principles is about. So we go in search of it. So then we live in a very dissatisfied space thinking, well, I still must have beliefs because I'm having this experience. And the point of the principles is really to see that you are lost in story sometimes, but our whole life is a story. And sometimes we like it and sometimes we don't. But it seems that when we struggle the most is when we're not accepting what is. We want it to be different than what it is. This is wrong.
Oh, we think it's real.
But I think the principles.
I know it has felt so real.
That's the whole point.
Well, I think the intensity of the feeling and the fact that it doesn't feel right is also an indicator that we're really outside in our thinking. We're really lost in the illusion of life. We're really taking it seriously. So in a way, those feelings are a wake-up invitation.
Yes.
Sometimes immediately, sometimes it takes a week or 2, but there's nothing wrong. Like I know my sister for years used to worry that, oh, what if I'm mental? What if there's something wrong with me? What? And they would horrify her when she'd get into those spaces.
Yeah.
Whereas now, she said, the relationship to those kind of thoughts have changed.
Wow.
She gave them so much attention. She doesn't take it as seriously. And you can learn. Oh, how many times have I been through this before?
I know. And it is usually when I've had a migraine or like I've had really bad IBS this week. So it's a sneaky little bastard. And, and it's like, you're not feeling well. Let's chuck some shit, and.
Sid used to talk about levels of consciousness. And he used it as a metaphor. He said, when you're in a higher level of consciousness, you're happy. You're tolerant.
Don't take things personally.
You don't take things personally.
No.
You can't. But when we enter into lower states of consciousness, everything's personal. Everything pisses us off. And I don't think there's a single person on this screen that can't relate to this. I can. Regularly. I go in and out of all types of experiences. This isn't an anesthetic. And
No.
It seems to me like you're looking for an anesthetic because you're afraid of life. You're afraid of your feelings and you're afraid of your own mind.
Yeah.
Okay. So you looks to me like you're in this conversation now going, giving the magic pill. I want rid of all of this.
And but I know that's not the answer, but I think because it's been, you know, because it's been a hard 15 years with being ill and having to cope on my own, kick myself up the arse, pat myself on the back. Yeah, and
you see, that's all story too, love.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I know.
Now you're bringing 15 years of hard times into the now and blaming that for why you feel like you feel now. You see, we go looking for these excuses. We go looking for excuses to blame it on. No, it's really, really simple. It's more simple than that, Lise. It's more simple. Thank God. Wow, I did really well just then. I was aware that Em's got a baby with him.
Oh, sorry. And I said the B word.
There you go. I'm going to really practice and not swearing to that. Thank God it's more simple. Thank God, at least listen. Thank God it's more simple than that.
And I do live in that space.
Lise, come back. Just listen.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. It's more simple. It's more simple. 15 years worth of pain, which you just brought into the conversation now, doesn't exist outside of your own mind.
Mm.
It doesn't leave a scar. People say they're scarred. The scar only appears to appear when an individual thinks about it. Example, my niece, I said to her one day, I said, do you miss us when we're not here? She went, only when I think about it. She knows. All these scars only exist when you're thinking them.
Mm.
And where do they go? When you're not thinking it, where does it go?
They're not there.
Where does it exist? They don't exist.
Doesn't exist.
No. Okay. So this is more simple.
Mm.
Okay. We go looking for excuses because we're living in a state of misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And the only way out is to understand. So let's break it down. Let's break this down. We think it's all real.
Mm.
You believe those thoughts.
Mm.
Have you ever stood at the top of a high building and thought, I could jump off right now?
No, not very often.
Have you ever?
Well, no, I jumped out of a plane.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I do this thing sometimes where I go to the top of a high spot, go, don't jump. And Jenny does this thing when she's cutting my hair. Don't shave my eyebrows off. Don't shave my eyebrows off. You see, but I don't trust that thought. You know, jump off or cut your eyebrows off. Jenny doesn't trust it. And you'll have your own thoughts where they're clearly visible. It's a thought. It's clearly visible. It's a thought. But then we take other thoughts really seriously. Big Mac, looking very pretty and young in this. You've got a filter on there, lad. I remember when you came on our retreat and we spoke about how the suicide thought is born of exactly the same place as what flavour yogurt do we want.
Wow.
Okay, and Paul, you've spoken about this, so I'm guessing, do you mind if I speak about it?
No, go for it.
I didn't know that 2 weeks before Paul had tried to take his own life. And I just so happened to put down on this diagram and explained how the suicide thought comes from. I mean, the suicide thought, many people come and work with us, I've had the suicide thought. Oh, that's a really, really big thought. That's a really bad thought. It has no more power in reality than what flavour yogurt do I want tonight. It comes from exactly the same place, and it's made of exactly the same stuff. Thought is thought. A thought is made of thought. Nothing more, nothing less. It's all the same thing. Okay? There's 7.7 billion people on Earth right now. Every single one of them is enlivened, is powered, is functioning on thought, because of thought. Okay, now every single one of us is different. There are no two identical human beings, not even identical twins. They all each have their own likes and dislikes, and they each see their own reality. They each see their own experience of life. So 7.7 billion human, we're not even going into animal and plant kingdoms, bacterial, fungal kingdoms, viral kingdoms. We're just talking about humans. 7.7 billion separate realities are existing on Earth right now, just in human form. 7.7 billion different experiences of life. Many people separate experience from reality. We think that's two different things. No, it's exactly the same thing. Experience, your experience of life is your reality. Yours. Nobody on Earth can see it except you. Nobody on Earth can see mine, thank God, except me. So we have this magical, mind-blowing thing that's happening on Earth right now. There is this 7.7 billion people on Earth, and no two people on Earth see the same reality. Even people with the same genetic makeup. They do not see the same reality. They see their own experience of life. So at that point, Lise, I'll just ask you the question, whose reality is the true reality on Earth? Given there's 7.7 billion people and every single one of us sees a different reality, who sees the true factual reality?
Nobody?
Okay. Okay, cool. We all see our own experience of life. It's unique to ourselves, and it's also unique to the moment. Okay, our realities change all the time. Sometimes we feel on top of the world and we've got everything in place and we're swimming along, and then suddenly the whole world looks like it's against us. It becomes hard. The world hasn't changed.
No.
It's our experience that's changed. That's right. Our reality is changed. Now, our reality, how does our reality change? Well, let's look at our reality. What's it made of? First of all, there needs to be an awareness there to be aware of the experience. And that's what people give the word consciousness to. Consciousness. What is consciousness? I haven't got a clue. It's spirit. It's spiritual. Whether people like it or not, it's just a word. It's spiritual. It's ethereal. It makes no sense to our intellect. It's the life force of all things, trees. Every single being on the planet and planets are conscious experiential events. You are a conscious experiential event, and so am I, and so is everybody else. 7.7 billion people are a consciousness experiential event. And what does consciousness do? It thinks. Every single living organism thinks. It makes decisions. It responds to stimulus. It responds to its environment. This is how evolution takes place. It's massive. So 7.7 billion people on Earth, each of us experiencing its own reality. Nobody on Earth is experiencing the true reality.
No.
Okay. Well, we're all experiencing a different one. Surely we must all be experiencing our own, which must surely mean that there isn't ultimately an ultimate reality in form. Because if there was an ultimate reality, we would all see it. There would be nothing to talk about. We'd never be a single disagreement. And then you have to look at, well, how does it change? Well, it changes because as consciousness changes, thought changes. And as thought changes, our feeling and experience changes in front of our very own consciousness, or what appears to be in front of our eyes. And so when you start to look closely, you'll see that nobody is experiencing the true reality, full stop, full stop, full stop, which means that our reality is an illusion. It appears
Yes.
real. It appears real all the time, but so does everybody else. So does everybody else's reality. They appear real too. Everybody's reality appears real to them. We all think it's real. We all think that the way that we see the world is a fact. It's true. Okay? We think it's true. We believe all our thoughts. We believe all our thoughts, and we think our thoughts are real. We think that what we think is a fact. We think that our thoughts are telling us information that is real and true. No, they're not. Thoughts are potential, a potential within, and thought, the power of thought itself is infinite potential. Can we ever get to the end of thought? Is there an end to thought? Will one day humanity suddenly go, oh, I've run out of thought? No. Thought constantly changing. New ideas are always being born into the world. We can always improve on something.
So let's look upstream. And because I've seemed to have totally forgotten. So how do we change this experience?
How do we change it? Why do you want to change it?
Right. So
you want to change it because you're afraid of it. Because you think it's real.
I think also Sid spoke so much about stop looking at what you're thinking, stop looking at what you're feeling. Like there's a part of you that's been totally aware this week, but your thinking's been all over the place and that you haven't enjoyed it. But you've been looking at the thinking and wanting it to change rather than getting interested in what is that part of you? What is that space in which is aware that there's thought happening, that there's a creation taking place? It's the awareness that never leaves us. That's the constant. That's where we find peace. That's where we find answers.
Yeah.
In what is always present, doesn't change. But what happens is, as human beings, we seem to want to look and dissect the content that comes and goes, changes, could be, say, black is white and white is black, and then change its mind. But there's nothing within that space that's going to bring peace.
No.
But there's a part of you that's aware that you've had loads of crazy thinking this week. There's a part of Dave, like you spoke about this a couple of weeks ago when you got in, like a farmer was really rude to us and told us we couldn't walk a particular area and it wasn't signposted properly unless we had a permit, and then he was calling you sort of names, and then you got a bit arsey back, and then he came over and he pushed Dave really hard with his hands, and I saw Dave just go like with his arm, and I was like, oh God. And then he just put his arm down and he backed off slightly.
Wow.
And was like, all right, mate. Like, and I was asking you afterwards, because I was thinking, oh my God, he's going to bloody punch the bloke. This guy started on him. And you said that the whole time there was an awareness that you never used to have. you would have literally just reacted on the thoughts that came to you because you wanted to hit him in that moment. You felt really quite violent and aggravated
And I felt
with
pissed
him.
off. Huh?
But you said there's
Sorry,
this
Em.
awareness. She said it's fine.
Did she?
Yeah, they're in bed. The awareness is what we start realizing is us. We are the awareness. We are the permanent. We are the constant. We are awareness. The fleeting things that come and go throughout our life, our stories, are how we get to experience and be here and live and have a life, and it's a privilege. But when we start thinking that that's who we are, and we start trying to mess with it and manipulate it and change it and going upstream from it, like we still be more thought.
That upstream you spoke about was downstream.
Like it seems counterintuitive, but it's almost like we just have to leave ourselves alone.
Yeah, I know. I've been like, can you just get out of your own way?
You see, and that's a thought too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so we're constantly in this search of how do I do it? You're already doing it. You've always done it. This isn't something to add to yourself. You won't gain anything. You won't gain anything through the principles. You don't gain anything. You awaken to something.
Yes, that's great.
No, these are two very different things. To awaken to something,
Yeah.
not getting something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of them, to awaken to something, is to realize something that already exists. And what you're talking about is trying to find something that I can add to myself, to like a delete key on a computer. You see, to awaken to what we're talking about is to awaken to how reality works. To see that it is it comes from one place only. It all comes from within our own being. Like Jen speaks about, you wake up and you realize you are not these thoughts. If you are those thoughts, okay, why are you those thoughts and not those thoughts? Because they're all the same thing. Thought is thought is thought. Is thought is thought. It's thought. It's all thought. Every question you come up with is coming from thought. Every answer you think you're searching for, it's coming from thought. It's all thought. And sometimes we have negative thought and we take it very, very seriously. And sometimes we have negative thought and we don't take it very seriously.
Yeah, that's the weird thing, isn't it?
And I think this is not the principles won't turn you into an angel. Because like I say, they can't do anything. They can't turn you into anything. You are already it. You are mind, you are consciousness, you are thought. Not what you think. What you think comes from thought. Those are potentials. You are the infinite potential. But at the moment, it seems like you're associating yourself with your thoughts. That's the ego. That's the ego. That's what in Buddhism they spend years trying to see past. And I feel like Sid came along and just went, do you know what? You're looking in the wrong direction. You see, the day I woke up after listening to Sid, when he said I found the video, and what he said was, he said, you think it's real and you take it seriously. It's not real. And I went for a walk and I woke up, I saw it, I realized it was true. It's not real. This reality we see is a magical, mystical expression of consciousness. And it always will be. It's all the same thing. It is consciousness dreaming a dream. And this dream is your reality. It's my reality. But you can't dream my reality and I can't dream your reality. You see, even if you tell me about your reality, I have to dream it to imagine it. It's not going to be the same. That's why the mystics have always said the dream of life, the dream of reality.
I just wanted to see if the other people on the call that this is making sense to or isn't.
Yeah, that's what I would like to hear. What other people? Yeah.
Kev.
Then Mum.
Yeah, I just really, the whole conversation has really resonated with me. You know, it's like, I just wrote in the comments actually that Mooji does a meditation whereby you can just even practice for short periods of time, putting thoughts aside, because they're just going to come back and they are just thoughts. But you can spend a bit of time practicing that muscle, using, you know, training that muscle to say, I'm going to just a certain amount of time, even if I can't do it all the time, I'm going to allot a certain amount of time to saying, right, I'm going to just put my thoughts aside for now. And just going through that practice, and it's a really lovely practice, just helps you able to kind of get back to that place where you realize that you can watch the thoughts and they are just thoughts. And like, you know, Dave said, with the yoga and the suicide, they are just thoughts, and you can watch them and you can watch it pan out every day in your life. But I've just found it really helpful to have a period of time where I actually focus on that as a skill, as a, you know, higher level of being able to deal with stuff. That's it.
Cheers, Kel. Mother. You have to unmute yourself, Mama.
I've done that now.
Well done.
This occurred to me while I was listening to what was being said today, and this is by Eckhart Tolle. It's only a short passage, and he says people believe themselves to be dependent on what happens for their happiness. That is to say, dependent on form. They don't realize that what happens is the most unstable thing in the universe. It changes constantly. They look upon the present moment as either marred by something that happened and shouldn't have, or as deficient because of something that's not happened but should have. And they miss the deeper perfection that is inherent in all life itself, a perfection that is already here. It lies beyond what is happening or not happening, beyond form. Accept the present moment and find the perfection that is deeper than any form and untouched by time.
Beautiful, Mum. And beautiful like art.
It is good. It just fits it all in, doesn't it? Brings you back to the stability that you need in the life itself, back to yourself all the time.
You summed it up right there, Mum. It brings you back to the stability. It brings you back to yourself.
It does. And that's all you ever have. Default system, back to yourself. Anyway, I'm going to have to go because I've got to go out by 8 o'clock. So lots of love.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you, Mum. Love you.
Bye. Love you too.
Bye, Mum. That's it. Brings you back to yourself, brings you back to, what did you say?
Stability.
Stability. Stability does not exist outside of us. Stability is a state of mind. A state of mind is a state of consciousness. State of consciousness is a state of thought. You see, when the mind does, like Kelly's saying, Kel's been doing meditation practice, cool. Go for it. And when she says when her mind gets quiet, she can see these thoughts. Doesn't mean this, you know, when you meditate, people still think, thoughts still come in. But they're not locked onto. They're not like, don't know, I suppose what I'm getting is that thing on Toy Story where the arm comes down and they're like, ooh, it's like, I'll have that thought. I'm going to keep this thought. I just won it. I just earned it. I'm going to have that one. And it's like, we just take it all so seriously. And I think for me, that was the thing that changed. You know, if, you know, it's a big ask for people, but it's so simple. People always want to talk about their problems. I'll be all right when this problem's sorted out. I'll be all right when this problem, I'll listen to what you're saying, but first of all, I need to have this relationship sorted out. I need to sort my money out. I need to do this, I need to do that. It's a big ask for people to put aside what they think they already know. Because we think that what we think we already know keeps us safe. The old saying, better the devil you know. I always say this to Sue, I always said this to Sue, introduced me to the principles. You know, if she said to me, Dave, your depression's going to go, your anger's going to, you're not going to need it anymore. It's not that I don't get angry, but nothing like what I used to. You won't become this family protector all the time. I'd have said, all right, get rid of the depression. Can you leave my anger? Because that's really useful. You know, and I want to be a family and friend protector because that's great, worthwhile. But it was those beliefs that were causing my suffering. You know, I thought that those beliefs kept me safe. My anger kept me safe. This is just my example. We think that what we think we know keeps us safe. It's what we think we know that gets us into trouble because we're solidifying thought and creating a belief. Creating a belief out of it. And the moment we create a belief, we've got something to defend. Okay? Religion. Got to defend my religion. Got to defend my beliefs. And therefore we create war. What does war do? It creates suffering and killing. All because we're holding on to a belief, thought. Sid Banks said, there is no peace to be found in beliefs. He's absolutely right. There is no peace to be found in beliefs. The moment you hold a belief, you will defend it. You'll argue it. And this is what we do. We defend our thoughts and we defend our beliefs. Because we think that they keep us safe. They don't. They're the things getting us into trouble.
That is just the most beautiful thing. There is no peace to be found in beliefs. That, do you know what? That's just.
There isn't. And that includes the belief in the idea that our thoughts are real. You know, when your mind tells you you're useless or you're not good enough, or you have this feeling, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthwhile, which most people have experienced in their lifetime. It's not a fact. It appears real. Yes, it appears real. It appears so frigging true. It appears so real. Yeah, it does. That's the game of life. It's the game of reality. That's the game of creation. You live in creation. You are the creator of it. Your thoughts aren't doing it to you. You are doing it to yourself.
That's been worth a week of shit to see that.
Nobody else can do it and nothing else can do it.
Wow.
Which is the good news. And if that's the case, you know, many people go to war with their own mind when they have these thoughts. They go to war with their own mind. Why am I thinking like this? Oh, I mustn't know that. Not again. Oh, oh, there's something wrong with me. All these horrible things we tell ourselves, all coming from the same place. They're all thoughts too. It's just a stream of thoughts. That's all it is. But the moment the mind sets upon itself and starts to go to war with itself, there's no winner. You've got a mind that's gone to war with itself. You see, and there is no peace to be found at war, ever. You cannot bomb your way to peace. We just bomb our way to killing and suffering. That includes when we go to war with our own mind and start hating on our own mind. That's why in the Bible, Jesus, and what changed for me was I gained an awful lot of acceptance. I accept if I'm having a shitty mind. I accept if I'm having a fucking shit day. I accept if I want to put certain politicians' head on a block and smash the hell out of it with an axe. I accept when my mind does that. But I don't buy into it and think it's all broken and all malfunctioning and there's something wrong with me. No, there's nothing wrong. It's all the same thing. Some feels nicer and some feels shit. That goes for everybody on earth. And it always has done. And the only way to become comfortable with it is to understand it, not do anything with it. You cannot change a thought. Let me explain to you why you cannot change your thoughts. Because the moment you've thought it, it's immediately in the past. You cannot change what no longer exists. You cannot change your thoughts. The moment it has been thought, it is instantaneously in the past. The now is all that exists. People want to change their thoughts. They're running around in the past, trying to change the past to make the now better. You're running around in an illusion of our own mind. And likewise, the mind thinks. It thinks in the moment. That's the only time the mind thinks in is in the moment. It doesn't think in time. Time is an illusion of the mind. It's an illusion of thought. It's an illusion of imagination and memory, which is all thought. I don't want to create a division in thought there by saying, oh, imagination and memory are two totally different things. They're not. It's only one thing ever happening, appearing as multitude of things. The mind is all that exists. Kel, can we take a 10-minute break and then come to your question or point? Is that all right? Cool. We'll come back in 10 minutes. Kelly.
Yeah, it was just a thought about what Lisa's been saying. And when you're caught in those moments where your thoughts are just going so bonkers that you can't really think straight, there's part of you that knows you're in that state. This is, I mean, and I've struggled with this over the last 3 years, having no anxiety to having like quite bad anxiety, like all of a sudden. And so I wanted quite a lot of the time from people like practical advice about how to stop doing that. And of course you ask people, and that's not what it's really about, you know, someone telling you practically what to do. But what I found that was really helpful for me when I found myself in those states of mind was to take that part of myself and treat it like I was picking up a child and trying to find out what was up with it. And like picking up those thoughts and just kind of like knowing how they felt in my body and really understanding them. And then just having absolute compassion for them and treat them like I would be speaking to a best friend if they were going through those same things. And I found that in real stressful times, that has really helped me. But the key to it helping during stressful times for me was that I practice it at other times. when I wasn't feeling quite so bonkers, when I just even noticed those thoughts of self-hatred and self-doubt and not being good enough and failing and all of that stuff and not having communicated very well, all those things that you beat yourself up about. Anything like that, I would try to do that when I wasn't in that real big bad state. It made it easier in the big bad state to be able to go into that role of like actually caring for yourself and loving yourself and using that sort of life force of love within you to look after yourself with it. I just found that that was really helpful for me, and that I try to do that. And I know that when I don't do it, when I don't practice it, when it's not so bad, when the shit hits the fan, it really hits it. Does that make sense?
When you say practice it, what you're really saying is when I think it.
Yeah.
You know, so we're back to the same point again.
Mm.
You know, you can't practice anything if you're not thinking about it. Your attention's not on it. And so it's like what we call practice is still a thought. It's still our attention, it's still consciousness creating the experience, which is all the thing we've been trying to get rid of was in the first place in itself. So it's like there's so many different ways, and people find change and peace in their life through religion. Some people find it through 12 steps. Some people find it through the 3 principles. To me, the most accurate thing I've ever heard is the 3 principles. The easiest. Because it's like our friend Linda Ramus says, she said, I'm not bothered what people do. Want to meditate, go meditate. You know, if you want to do ayahuasca, go and do ayahuasca. Mushrooms, go and do mushrooms. She said, what I'm interested in is, when do people change? And she said, people only change when they have a change of thought. Full stop. People change when their thoughts change. People change when their consciousness changes. That's it. There is no other mechanism by which we can change. If an individual thinks the same thoughts continuously, they will experience the same reality. Until their thoughts change, they can't change. It doesn't mean that they are that reality, because they're not. That's just what's showing up for them in that moment. There's a saying, leopards can't change their spots. No, leopards can't, but we're not leopards. Human beings can change in a moment. We see it all the time. We've experienced it. We've seen it with people on this screen. They can't explain how their life got better. Lise, you've been asking the questions, how do I do it? You ask anybody a question, how did you create that change in your life? And they will say, people who have had insightful change, they will say, I don't know, it just happened. It's our belief that we have to work on ourselves that creates an idea of a solid self. It reinforces the idea that there is something to fix. There's nothing to fix. You're not broken. Nobody's broken. It's impossible to be broken. It's totally possible to experience the experience that I'm broken. But it's impossible to be broken. You can't break spirit. You can't break consciousness. You can't break source. Not tomato sauce, sauce, spirit sauce. It's impossible, it's unbreakable. All our problems come from our association with our beliefs. All our problems come from our beliefs that we are, our belief that we are something other than pure infinite potential. That's where all our problems come from. And if you look properly closely, you'll see that's where problems exist. Problems don't exist in the world. Problem is a perspective of mind. It's a thought too. It's whole shebangs, all the same thing. It's all thought. From birth till death. Before and after. The future, the past. It's all thought. Right now is thought. You couldn't experience this conversation without thought right now. And it's the only thing the mind knows is now. It's the only time it thinks. But its thoughts can create an illusion of time. I've been like this for 15 years. No, you haven't. In that 15 years, you've had infinite experiences. You're just holding on to one experience and saying that's what I've been. It's not. It's not what you've been. It's just a story you've told yourself. And you've probably told yourself an awful lot. So therefore you think it's more real because I think it often. People believe what they think. I remember hearing in a book, he said,
An audiobook.
it was an audiobook, yes, Jenny. He said, be skeptical of everything you read. He said, be skeptical of everything that you hear. And he said, but most of all, be skeptical of what you think. Our mind does not tell us the truth. Our mind is truth. Why is the mind truth? Well, the mind is the infinite potential. It's all that exists. You are mind, you are consciousness. You are the power of thought. Confusing itself in thoughts, for thoughts. The power of thought is like the ocean. A thought is like a wave. It's what the ocean does. We're like the ocean. We're like the ocean mistaking ourselves for a wave. Or waves are. And for some reason we think that wave over there is more real than this wave over here. Or that wave's more real than that wave. No, they're all illusions of the ocean. It's just the ocean. It's all just ocean. We give it the word wave and it creates a separate identity as though the wave is something separate from the ocean. It's not. It's just all water. So no matter what experience we're in, it's all water. Whether we're happy and joyous and full of life and buoyancy, or whether we're in the deepest of dark depression, it's water. It's ocean. It's waves. You can't break the ocean. The ocean cannot be broken. It's just total freedom. Total freedom that imprisons itself with beliefs. That's what beliefs do. They create the character. character of who and what we think we are, and who and what we think this world is, and who and what we think other people are within it. And the more you wake up, the less seriously you take your own thoughts, which is what I was saying right at the beginning when I said my relationship to it all changed. My relationship to my experience of life changed. Doesn't mean I always live in a happy, joyous state. No, I don't. I get pissed off with things. I get fed up and opinionated. Yeah. Opinionated. Yeah, definitely. That's me getting caught in my own ego. But thankfully, I have this ability to remember. Some point, only when I do. And when I can't, I can't. It's impossible. When I don't remember, it's because I can't in that moment. And it was impossible for me to have remembered in that moment. Because there was only what was going on in the moment within my own mind. And for that, I cut myself slack, which saves a hell of a lot of suffering. Life gets easier with understanding. Yes, it does. You learn acceptance.
I think you stop trying to self-improve.
Stop trying to fix.
And I think it seems like such a valid or worthy thing to do is improve on myself. But the principles is pointing to true self is perfection. We're already perfection. This moment is perfection. And anything else that we're trying to develop is our ego.
Correct, yeah.
Is the thing that comes and goes, that lives a life. But that's so much effort and work. And people can spend lifetimes doing it, and that's just then what's happened. But the perfection of who they are has never gone anywhere. It's simply been present, observing, being aware of the comings and goings of that story. People spend a lifetime trying to improve on themselves. And the principles isn't a self-development model. It isn't anywhere to get to model. It's not about the content of our lives. It's the perfection that exists here now.
It's an explanation.
That we are alive. We are here. This does exist. Everything else is, and you know, when Mark is on, and Mark and Claire are on, he's been so struck and taken with the statement, I am. And then anything else after that is false, illusory, made up. But the I amness is what is present. And that for him is something at the moment, it's blowing his mind. And we've been on a few walks recently, and you can see he's so alive with that understanding that he just, but it's because it resonates with him. It makes so much sense to him that of course everything else is made up, because everything else comes and goes. I am hungry. I am tired. I am a nuisance. I'm a good person. I'm a bad person. I am angry. I am stressed. Everything else after I am comes and goes, changes. And it might come and go and then come back. But the I amness is the pure awareness. I amness is pure consciousness. That is the truest state of true self. And the truest state of true self is the self of every self. It's not different. And I think I've loved the fact that I can get totally lost again in like a massive drama in my head. And then when you kind of come back to yourself, you're like, whoa, God, I got arrogant and thought I knew something about life. And I think that's the fun and games of it all. But I do think that the trajectory and the movement since I came across this has just been a lighter and lighter and lighter relationship to belief and who I think I am, and
A more deeper respect for the magic.
yeah, just like I said last week, I've been having my mind blown. Every week I look at the NHS website, week whatever I am on of pregnancy, you and your baby. And I'm like, Dave, it can hear now, like it's got ears and they work properly, and it can,
Stop swearing.
it's got yeah, like you've got to stop swearing. You're already conditioning. I want it to be a nice, calm environment. I'm hoping she's going to get used to Rusty's bark and not wake up for it all the time. But it blows my mind that within me, another human being's been created, and I haven't done anything. All I've done is, eat and sleep, and there's a human being that's been created. That's a miracle. And then I was saying, we were going down to get an organic box from a place down in Clapham,
Yorkshire.
and I'm like, every single day inside of a hen, they produce an egg and it's got a hard shell on it. Like, isn't that amazing? And it was like I was getting my mind blown by everyday things that normally I miss, because we do get caught up in how am I doing, how am I feeling, am I right today, have I had an insight, am I in the principles, not like all of that noise. But it's almost like when we suddenly just go back into the moment, it's mind-blowing that we're here. It's mind-blowing that any of this exists. It's mind-blowing that no one else can see the world that we see. We are this generator of experience, and no one else gets to experience it. But we get to kind of communicate and relate. And like, I love how often me and you've had conversations, and then we've realized halfway through we're having two different conversations. We don't really understand each other. And I don't think it was ever supposed to be so serious. And that's why I've always loved hanging out with kids, because they laugh easily and they switch in and out of different kind of experiences very quickly, because they're not attached to an idea of what reality is supposed to look like. We're watching a little kid have a massive meltdown today outside a shop. And then I said to Catherine, I've got all this to look forward to. And she went, yeah, she goes, but the cool thing is when you know that they're all right, they're just caught up in the moment, you get to just stand and be a witness. Whereas this poor kid, they were going, well, if you behave correctly, you would have been allowed it, but you're a bad girl, so you're not going to get it.
Where was that?
Outside.
I
was looking at this little kid and I'm like, you're not a bad girl. You're just having a moment. And I have those moments sometimes too. But you see the ordinariness and the sameness. And we all have our own versions. And like I was saying to Dave, like I don't think I've ever had the feeling or the thought or the desire to throttle someone or to kill someone. Like I've never experienced that sensation.
You've never lived.
And Dave was like, he goes, oh, you're just kind of.
I like the way the fellas just went.
But I've had other kind of mental thoughts that Dave's like, I have never even considered that. And we all get lost in thinking that means something about us. It doesn't. Like, if you really were the things that you thought, I don't think I'd actually hang out with you very often. I don't think you'd still be here.
I'd be in prison.
But that's the thing I've always loved about the opportunity we get to speak to different people, to do retreats, and then with the movie site getting to film across the world. Like, we all think we're different. We all think we're a little bit different. It's a little bit harder for me, or I'm a little bit more messed up, or I'm a little bit more.
What if I'm the exception?
But I see, like, as people's minds settle down, that space that exists shows up. And every single person on this call and every single person I've met has experienced that space where, for whatever reason, the craziness of thought seems to just part or rest, and they find themselves present and they have a moment of just peace. I think Dickon calls it feeling good for no good reason. we've all experienced that, but we seem to want that to be permanent. I want to experience that all the time. I don't like this and I don't like that. And I just asked Julie a tax question, because we have tried to do this paperwork now since, well, I've been actually trying to get my accountant to help me with it since last January. And he kept saying, oh, we've got loads of time, we've got loads of time. And then suddenly we've got all these reminders and he's like, oh no, you have to have this in by the 31st of December or you're going to get a fine. And he says, I don't really know about community interest companies. So then I've kind of gone online, I've found the form. It's all in a language I don't understand. And then just before we started,
bollocks.
Just before we started the call, Dave's mum had sent me a photograph saying, is this letter important? And I said, probably, can you open it? And they've sent it back to us for a third time. We've sent it 3 times, twice by like special deliveries. It's cost us like nearly £8 each time. And the third one, we're like, we're not paying special delivery because they're probably going to send it back. And I asked Julie the question on the break, and like it makes total sense to Julie. She's just like, just send me what you've sent them. I'll be able to sort it out.
Thanks, Julie.
And we have given it so much thought. And we've got so frustrated with it. And like, you don't even like having to fill out paperwork where you do understand the questions.
No.
If he doesn't understand the questions. But before Dave and I were together, I would think, oh, but if you understand the principles, then you wouldn't get stressed out at that, because you'd see it's just thought and you'd do it differently. I had an idea about what the principles was going to mean for someone's life.
You've turned it into a perfection model.
Yeah.
As opposed to realizing the model's already perfect. We just live in the illusion that it isn't, because we believe in the imperfection. If the principles are not a perfection model, you know, people that wake up, they still have mad thoughts. I remember listening to Ram Dass, and he said that. He said, I still have all my neurotic thought. Yeah, of course you do. It's not about not thinking thoughts. It's not about not thinking certain thoughts. It's about becoming aware of how it works. It's about becoming aware of the greater aspect of life that we all are. The magic. But this picture, a bit of a reflection on it. You know, if you like it or not, it doesn't matter. We could all have an opinion on it. Kel, what kind of bird is it? So Kelly doesn't know. Lise, what do you reckon? Can't hear you, love.
Woodpecker.
Woodpecker, right. Joseph, what do you think, mate? If you're still there.
Oh,
Is it humming because of its long beak?
Hummingbird, all right. Ange?
Or brown bird?
Starling.
Pardon?
Is it a starling?
Starling. My mum's not here. Paul, what do you reckon, mate?
No clue. I would have said woodpecker just 'cause it's on the side of a tree, but
Julie?
I haven't a clue.
I haven't got a clue. Denham?
It's a tree creeper, I think.
Oh, Denham, check you out. It's a tree creeper. But you see, we all have different thought about it. You know, it's like we can all look at the same thing and it means something different. It means, I don't know, it means woodpecker, it means whatever, starling. And it's like, we can analyze the picture. We can analyze it. This is what we're talking about. We go and start analyzing the picture. You know, how it's done. Do we like it or not? Could that have been better? Could we improve on this? Could we improve on that? At the end of the day, it's paint and paper. That's all it is. It's paint and paper. The paint can't exist as a picture without the paper. It needs the paper there. And the paper can't exist as a picture without the paint. It would just be blankness. And this is like consciousness and thought. You know, they are two the same thing. The two are the same. A thought is an expression of consciousness. And that painting could be anything. That paint could paint anything. It's just paint. It could be a boat. It could paint flowers. It could be a self-portrait. It could paint a frog, landscape. And that paper would take the painting. It wouldn't question it. It wouldn't care. It wouldn't judge. It would just hold it. That's like our consciousness. And thought is like the paint. It's the same stuff. We can paint anything with our mind. Anything can be painted with the mind. Heaven and hell can be painted with the mind. It does. But it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. It's like a varying degree of lostness. But the lostness is all the same thing too. You see, the essence of everybody on earth and everything is love. Love, unity, singleness, all the same thing. Singleness. That's why when two people get together and they fall in love, they feel that connection, they feel like one, they become one as a couple. Love is just a universal force of singleness. It is the singleness, it is the oneness of life, it's love. Not an emotion, because the emotion that we experience as I love you is quite often conditional. This is totally unconditional. It doesn't care. It just loves for loving itself. And then within that spectrum, you have this ultimate source. And because love has no boundaries and has no judgment, it gets to experience total lostness of fear. But it's still all the same thing. Fear only comes from our mind. Fear is a thought. Fear is the absolute polar opposite of love. One's found and one's lost. One's real and one's illusory. Well, Mackie said, he sent it to me, I think he meant to send it to the group. Not sure if I heard this from you, Dave, but when we resist any thought or feeling, it creates a friction internally, hence it lasts longer. That sounds about right. Yeah. That is right, mate. When I say resist, I mean change or improve. Like the lady at the start, when we ask, why is this happening to me? The negative, it then lasts longer rather than just letting it pass. And Kelly says, I love creeping.
Did you tell everyone that you made that?
No.
That's Dave's lino print.
I did a lino print.
He decided to get into another hobby.
Yeah.
That involves lots of stuff.
Yeah. Thanks, Kel. Well done, Denham.
I wasn't sure if because it says it at the bottom.
You didn't read it, did you, Denham?
No, he recognised it because it's so good.
Mm. Yeah.
It's so funny because you've given it, you've done a few prints and you've gone and got loads of frames and different things from charity shops and reframed them. And so many people have been so grateful and they've absolutely loved it and thought it was brilliant. We went to give one to our friend and he went, Dave said, oh, here you go. And he went, what, you're trying to get rid of it? And Dave was like, oh no, I did it for you because I thought
you brought us some wood.
Because he gave us some wood, firewood. And he's like, oh right. Oh, good. Thanks.
Jenny went, we'll find that in a charity shop, won't
I said to him, don't give it to the Kendall charity shops because Dave scours them. Take it far away.
we? But yeah, the friction we feel when we go to war with our own mind. Friction burns. Friction is resistance. It's not smooth. It's resistance. It burns. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't flow. All because of a judgment. Judgment is a thought, a belief that what we are experiencing is not perfect. It's always perfect. Like my mother read earlier on. Every single moment is totally perfect. We just think it's not. It couldn't be any other way. The whole world is totally perfect as it sits right now. Without a judgment, it just is what it is. It's impossible for it to be any other way than what it is right now. Totally and utterly impossible. Given thought by 7.7 billion people and all the people beforehand, running up to the people alive on Earth right now. This world can't be in any other place, can't be in any other way. It has to be where it is. We have to be sat where we are right now listening to this conversation. These words have to be coming out of my mouth. It cannot be any other way. It just is what it is right now. And it always has been, and it always will be. It's only our judgment and our lack of acceptance that creates the suffering. What is a feeling without an associated label of good and bad? What is a feeling without a judgment? What's sadness without, or grief without the idea that it's a wrong thought, or a wrong feeling, sorry. It's just an experience. What's depression without all the associated stories of it being an illness and there's something wrong and it's a medical problem and brokenness? Without all that story, what is depression? It's a feeling. It's happiness, it's a feeling too. What's joy? It's a feeling. What is what we call anxiety? It's a feeling. It's anxiety without the negative story that gets told around it. It's a feeling. Why are certain feelings allowed and other feelings not? When we feel the negative, it's showing us our ego. It's an opportunity of learning. It's an opportunity to see what beliefs we hold unwittingly. Everybody's already it. We just think we're not. Can't think your way to yourself. Their thoughts. Who's thinking the thoughts? Me. Whose thoughts are they? They're mine. My thoughts. Whose shirt's this? It's my shirt. Whose phone's that? Wallet, mine. Whose socks am I wearing? Mine. Whose hair's this? Sorry, lads. Mine. Whose feelings are they? Mine. Whose ego? Mine. Ownership. Not me. My thoughts, my feelings, my shirt, my socks, my hair, my ego. Not me. Ownership. I know fine well I'm not my socks. Because they're mine, not me. I know fine well I'm not my shirt. Because they're mine, not me. I know fine well that I'm not my hair, because it's mine, not me. I know fine well I'm not my thoughts, because they're mine, not me. I know fine well I'm not my feelings, because they're mine, not me. I know fine well I'm not my ego, apart from when I don't, because it's mine, not me. We know it. We all know it because we all say it. It's in our language.
I was thinking you even say, I think, I feel, I am, like all of those things.
It's in our language. We all say it because we all know it's true deep down. We need to start getting more curious with the me as opposed to the mine. We need to start gaining a deeper respect. Oh, we don't. No necessity. Because it doesn't change anything. It's still only me. When we start to gain a deeper respect for the me over the mine, when we start looking at the paper and the paint as opposed to what the paper and the paint are doing, you find something constant. You find something that is permanent, not fleeting, not changing, permanent truth. That's why Sid called it truth. That's why people call it truth. That's why in the Bible it says God is truth. The creator is truth. Truth is the creator, me. Not me as in Dave. That's a story. Dave's a story. Dave's an identity. Dave's a memory. Dave's a word I remember. It's a noise. It's just a noise. All Dave is a noise or a set of symbols that we all agree to. It's all Dave is. That's all any word is. Not the words. The space from which words arise. Me. And everybody is me. Everybody is I.
Just got this picture for Lisa. How do I put it? I don't know if you can. He's curled up on the seat. He's been so good.
He bit a lady in Holland and Barrett today.
Yeah, he's making up for it tonight. And he's only weeding the house 4 times today.
And shit on the floor.
He's doing well.
Little bastard.
He's on a herbal tincture for anxiety and all kinds of things. Took her about a week to come up with it. It's got loads of different herbs in, and it's got homeopathy, and we have a few days and we're like, wow, it's really working. He's really settled. It's amazing. And
Then
then
he's
just,
savaging people.
yeah, it's just, and we keep trying to figure him out. We keep trying to use our logic and our thinking to figure out what's going on for him. And
But he's his own little separate reality, just like anybody else.
yeah,
And he has his own beliefs. He has his own thoughts.
that
his
is
own
true, Paul.
feelings.
There's no such thing as bad dog. It's bad owners.
Mate, I own it. I do own it. That's why I'm a bit scared for our Babby, like, because I know I fucked a Jack Russell up.
Language, Timothy.
Sorry, Mum. Oh, she's gone.
I think your mum's gone bed. Phone's still there.
She left it on to make us look popular.
Can you send me that picture of Rusty?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd like, you know how much I love him.
Yeah.
Did you see the one of him with we got him a Christmas jumper that had
Red.
reindeer things on.
Just send me, just every time you take a picture, just send them to me.
Did you see the video of him with the
Waffle
waffle
box.
box on his head?
Oh wow, with a what?
Waffle box.
A waffle box, a bird's eye
Uh-huh.
waffle
Oh
box.
yeah, wow.
Without for
Oh.
recycling, we went through into the kitchen, and he stood there, not moving, with this big red box stuck on his head. And it won't be so bad, but it's the 3rd time he's done it, isn't
It's
it?
every time we put it out for recycling, he seems to get his head stuck in it.
Always gets his head stuck in the waffle box.
Oh God, yeah. Just send me any.
Lisa, are you on the WhatsApp group where I send out links for a group and?
No,
Oh, okay, because you're not on WhatsApp anymore.
no, because
You type your number into the chat. You can do it privately to us.
I've got Lisa's one.
Okay, I'll put it on my phone because I post videos of Rusty to advertise groups.
Wow, thank you.
Sometimes a bit more organised with the WhatsApp group than I am with Facebook. And
Oh right, oh wow, oh wow. And I know we're going to go. Thank you for tonight. It's just been incredible. Yeah,
Lisa, stop trying to figure it all out.
yeah,
You can't find it with that.
yeah. I know. Yeah.
It's a thought. That's all thinking. Did you see that big sigh you just took?
Yeah.
Did you feel that relief?
Oh, I've been doing that for about good 5-10 minutes. Yeah.
Right. That reliefs you.
Yeah.
And it's all the thoughts just getting quiet in your mind. And the reason why you feel better is because now you are closer to yourself.
Mm.
You're in a resonance which is more close to love.
Yeah.
You see, and that's why we feel better.
And Kelly was so right. I do think that it's so easy to reach for things when things are bad, but I think it's good to cultivate in whatever makes you feel good when things are good. I agree. Well, yeah. Right, your phone's ringing.
We couldn't tell. Cool, everyone.
so I think probably everyone already know we've got our retreat this weekend online. The schedule is up on Facebook and on our website under events.
Website being www.freedomthinking.co.uk.
And it's the same Zoom link for the whole three days, and it will be recorded. So if you can't make some of it, it's fine. People seem to just dip in and dip out, and normally when the guest speaker comes on, it goes right up and really pisses you off.
Yeah.
But we've got some awesome guest speakers. We've got Dickon on the Saturday, Dickon Bettinger, Christine Heath on the Sunday, and Dr. Linda Pettit on the Monday.
I love Linda. Love listening to Linda.
And we've made sure we've built in quite a lot of time for questions and reflections, and we have no idea who's coming. We have no idea how many people will be there.
And again, it's by a donation, so it's if you can, if you're in a position and you feel compelled to, please make a donation to Freedom Thinking so Jen and I can continue with our work. And if people are struggling, we still want them to come, and all we ask is that they pay it forward with an act of kindness to another person. Do something kind for somebody in the world, bring about joy for somebody, help, do something, and do something out of the ordinary, do something greater than what you normally would, and then let us know what it was. Because last year somebody told us what they'd done, and it was so exciting to hear it. It was so nice. So it's a via donation or pay it forward event.
And if you can't find information, just email us and I can email it directly. So our email is info@freedomthinking.co.uk.
Yeah, and that's on our website.
And Judy said, are we doing now 5 minutes of sending love to the world tonight or not?
Yes, I'd like to, if everybody else would like to. So, yeah, if everybody's happy, we'll just close our eyes and just imagine the world that we want to live in. We just want to imagine our life, how we'd like it. Don't forget, reality is all created from thought. Imagine our world, how we want to see it. Imagine the kindness, imagine the love. Just for 5 minutes, we're going to put that out into the world. Every thought has a resonance. Thoughts of love, they have a resonance. Our being has a resonance. We are a resonance. Set it off. 5 minutes. Jenny's going to lie down. She's doing a lot of that. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Lise. Thanks, Kel, love. Thanks, Julie, love. Thanks,
We didn't stop
Ange.
recording.
Oh, we didn't.
Sorry, everyone.
Thanks, Big Mac, and thanks, Amy.
Thanks.